When your children finish learning that, it is time for you to now tell them that one sound can be written in different ways. One sound can have different spellings. That is when we say alternative spelling. The word alternative means another way. The children must understand that we can write it as EE as the mother sound, but we can also write it as EA. We can also write it as Y, and so many other spellings which come in. So how can you help your children to know when to put EE and when to put EA? The answer is that there is no rule that this one falls here, because you can find them at the beginning, you can find it in the middle, you can also sometimes find it at the end. So what do? Display the words which are having these sounds. Let the children see the words which have EE and the words which have EA. And as the children read these words every day, they begin to understand that this word has EE and this word has EA. Because remember, these two sounds, or these two spellings, they are found in the same places. And most of the time they are found in the middle of words. Much as sometimes you can find them at the end and sometimes at the beginning. So the best way, display as much words as possible. Let your children practice reading these words. After some time, the children begin to understand that there is a word bean, which is B-E-E-N, and there is bean, which is E-A-N. And remember, at this level, children have begun looking at meaning of words. Bright children will be asking you, teacher, what is the meaning of this word bean, which has E-A-N? What about this bean, which has E-E-N? As the children learn, you teach them sometimes even the meaning. They also practice in the making of sentences. When a child makes the sentence having the word bean, which is B-E-E-N, and then makes a sentence which has the word bean, which is E-A-N, the children begin relating the meaning to the spelling. The children begin relating the words as you have displayed them, and they begin to know they are those of E-E and they are those of E-A-N. So my answer would be, give the children enough practice. If they have grown to a level of around 5-6 years, they'll begin asking for meaning, because reading is not just about pronouncing words, but reading is about making meaning of the words. So when we are beginning to teach the children how to read, we don't focus on meaning, but later as they study up to around maybe 5 years old or 6, meaning becomes very important, because children will be reading stories, children will be reading for themselves. Therefore, let the children practice, display for them the words, help them to understand how these words are used, because the more they use them, they will differentiate when we use bean of E-A-N and bean of E-E-N. Slowly by slowly, these words will stick in their minds and they'll be good to go. Thank you, please.
Yes, and you can always have a lot of activities, sorting games, and you can play various games like you can have disposable glasses where they can have to put the right word in the right box, whatever you use. So through playway methods, you can make them practice. When they will when they will run and when they will go and pick up the flashcard and put it in the right container, right box, right pouch, whatever you have created, or they have to stick it somewhere. So this way they will get engaged in spending a lot of time with that particular word. And you know what actually happens, how we have all read, like the word actually becomes a sight word for us. You know, when you keep reading that word again and again, then it becomes a sight word. You don't need to do blending, but you can just directly pronounce that word, because that word, now you are familiar with that word, you have read that. So again and again, if you're picking that particular word, keeping it in somewhere, so that way you practice with that word and it becomes a sight word. And then the child easily remembers that BEE I have to put in this jar. Okay, this way SEE I have to put here, SEA I have to put here. There can be many activities. You can have sorting activity, and if you know, in Jolly Grammar we have lots and lots of exercises on homophones. Why? Because the children get confused between the sounds. So the more you practice, the more you get to know which word, as sir has said, according to the meaning. You have to put the right word in the right sentence. So it is very important to first know the meaning. So when the child knows the meaning, SEE, what is the meaning? SEA, what is the meaning? Accordingly, according to the meaning, the child will put the word in the correct sentence. Okay, I went to a sea, or I see a bird. So if the child knows the meaning of the word see, SEE and SEA, the child will know where I have to put. So I agree with sir that you need to teach the meaning of those words at the same time, so that they remember which spelling would go in which sentence. Thank you, sir. And here we have one more question coming from Hima Hari. And she's asking, what is the best way or technique to teach sight words?
Thank you so much. Sight words or the tricky words are one of the most challenging things for children. However, our time, the time we have taken as teachers, we have realized how gifted children are.
Excuse me,
the
sir.
Children learn even the things that we think they may not be able to learn. So these tricky or the sight words, which ones are the best ways of teaching? Of course, Jolly Phonics suggests so many methods. They talk about the use of mnemonics, the look, cover, check, and write. They talk about say it as it sounds, and these are all methods you can try out. However, I want to get back to why are they called sight words? They are called sight words because they can best be learned by sight. They can best be learned when you display them. If you have them displayed, it means the children are learning them by looking at them. In my training as a teacher, we looked at what we call incidental reading. Incidental reading is where you display chart and the children look at it every day. You display the flashcards, whatever it is. So when children meet this word every day, it becomes part of their life. And then let the children not just see the word, but the children should also use the word. Therefore, organized activities where children are using some of these words. As the children use the words, they also focus on the meaning. Then the other thing is that look at the tricky part of the word.
Yes.
What makes the word tricky? When you look at the word Monday, the word has the word day at the end. Day is very simple for children. But now, when there is letter O and it is saying the child is saying Monday, but the word is supposed to be Monday. So look at the tricky part of the word. Explain to the children that this is the part which wants to trick you. This word is having letter O, but this O is stubbornly saying So as we are writing, let's know that in the word Monday, there is letter O, which is becoming a very tricky part of the word. So don't allow letter O to make you think that you are going to put their letter U as sound A. Therefore, much as it is saying it is having letter O. Therefore, what I'm saying is that discuss the tricky part of the word. That's number one. Number two, display the words for the children to see them every day. 3, create activities where the children are going to use these words.
Yes.
Where either they are spelling them, or they are using them in sentences, or they are having games of putting letters together to form these words. So as the children practice, they also focus on the meaning. Remember, the words which you meet every day, they become part of you. So sight words can be learned best by sight, by practicing, by discussing the tricky parts of the words. Allow me to give you that. Madam Shweta can add something.
Yes. So as sir has said, in Jolly Phonics Teacher's Manual, if you read, you'll find that you should always speak the word, let the child pronounce the word as it speaks. Then the child will understand what is the tricky part in the word. So if the child reads mother, then he knows that you need to ask the child, Is it mother or mother? The child knows it's a very common word, and the child will say mother. So you have to tell the child, yes, what you hear is always correct. Okay, so the simple words what you hear are correct. So you can also come up with some activity, like you can create a prison sort of something where you lock all the words who break the law. So you can put all the tricky words there and ask the children to lock them inside the door, because they have broken the rule and they're not going as it should sound. Okay, so this is all about how more and more creative you can be, so that the child can understand. See, if you uh, ask the child to mug up a word, then he has to mug up the entire word. But when you tell the tricky part in it, then the child will focus only on that particular. So he doesn't have to mug up the mother, mother. No, because the entire word is not tricky. Only O is being tricky there. So the child should, if he has the focus on the letter O, it becomes easy that I don't have to write muther, but I have to write mother, because I have locked him inside the prison for breaking the rule, and it's a tricky word. So this is your own creativity, how you can come up. Be a child. I would say be a child in the classroom and have it as a fun. So how much interest you develop for the child to listen to you carefully, it all depends on that. So let me read out the next question. And
Shortly, Madam Shweta.
yes.
What I want to explain to the teachers, in addition to what you have said, is that the words which are tricky for children when they are beginning plan, as the children grow up, these words stop being tricky. Because
Yes.
when you look at the phonics program, at
Yes.
some level, the word mother gets its own group.
Yes.
Sorry, its own sound, where you will teach words of letter O, but when it is saying ah, and then the children maybe that is maybe at around 7 years or at 8, but when they are still at 3, 4, 5, those words are tricky. However, when they go to other classes, those words stop being tricky because they can be categorized or classified according to their sounds. Thank you.
Yes,
Please continue.
exactly. So initially, when the children are of age 4 or 5, they will have a lot of tricky words, but gradually when they'll progress through Jolly programs, they will know the reason why this is not a tricky word, because there's a rule or there's an explanation or there's a category where the word falls in, and gradually the tricky word will become regular for the senior kids, but not for the junior kids. So many a times I also get this question that how do I tell the student at this age he cannot understand any spelling rule. So definitely a small child will not be able to understand the spelling rules. So for him, let it be the tricky word. As he grows and as he understands, as he develops the sense of understanding the rules, then he will understand that, okay, this is the reason. But before that, let it be very simple. It is a tricky word. Like for example, he is a tricky word, but we know that there's a rule which says if short vowel doesn't work, try the long one. Or we also know that it is an open-ended syllable, so it will always give a long vowel sound. But these things you cannot teach to a child who is 4 or 5, right? So for him it's a tricky word, but as he progresses, he would understand why he is not he, but it's he. So we are full of more queries. So I'll read out the next one, which is when teaching colors, name and number names, some go with phonics and some doesn't. So it becomes difficult to teach. How to teach them? Because we always promote reading with sounds. This question is coming from Shikha Singh.
Thank you so much, Madam Shweta. I've seen the question already. Someone is asking, when you are teaching colors and numbers, some colors, when you look at them, they can easily go with the sounds. You can easily blend them. But some color names cannot be blended. I hope I've understood the question. The same thing applies to the numbers. When you're teaching the children that this is 1, the word 1 cannot easily match with what they are studying in terms of reading. How do you help the children understand this? this is still takes us back. For me, I would love to see that the teacher for reading, the way she is teaching reading is the same way the teacher for numbers will teach the number names. Because if you are teaching by blending and the other teacher cannot blend, the children will be confused. That's why we want, if you teach numbers, one is teaching English, one is teaching another subject, let them all attend the reading session and let them all be teachers of reading. So how do you help the children? If you have the knowledge of tricky words or of teaching sight words, use the same knowledge in the teaching of numbers. Tell children, this is number 1. And this word 1 is a tricky word. This word has the tricky part. Why is it sounding as 1? You may not be able to take them through that. But you can now help the children to look at the spelling and they know this is a word which wants to trick them. You teach them now the word 2. When you look at the word 2, it has a tricky word. Someone does not hear sound in there, or letter W sound is not heard in there. Therefore, use the knowledge which you have for the teaching of tricky words. Use that knowledge in the teaching of number words, in the teaching of color names, which cannot be blended. Remember, in teaching, there is an aspect which we call integration. Integration means that borrow knowledge from some other subject and bring it in another subject, or borrow knowledge from some topic and bring it into another topic for children to understand. So integration allows you to use a method which is of reading and you take it in mathematics, or which is of mathematics and you bring it in reading. So for me, I would say use the methods you use in the teaching of tricky words or the sight words, and your children will have the same knowledge used to grasp how to spell and write the word 1 in mathematics, how to write color names in English or in mathematics, because you are an all-round teacher. You are using your knowledge of phonics in the teaching of mathematics. Thank you, please.
Yes. So I was also teaching in school, and we used to have this subject integration where the subject teachers used to sit together and plan in such a way that the things progress in such a way that they can relate from each other. The same topic, if it has to be taken parallel, if it is in Hindi, math, English, whatever. So this is called integrated curriculum. So if a math teacher is just about to begin the number names, English teacher can just start with these tricky words so that the child would already be having the knowledge that YONE is 1, because English teacher has taught the tricky words, these tricky words which were supposed to be taught by math teacher. Before that, if an English teacher has done this, then it becomes easy for the child when math teacher is giving the number names. I hope we are clear. Shikham. So the next question is coming from Prerna, and how to explain kids when to pronounce. Now this TH, pronunciation of TH. I have done exercises with them, but still they face problem when they read a new word, for example, filthy. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much. I read the question that how can she help her children to distinguish sound and sound? For example, when you look at the word this and the word think, which means in this teacher's class, when the children find some words, they mistake the V for example, she gave the word filthy. Her children end up saying filthy. So how will she help her children? There are so many activities which can be used, but personally, I always encourage what we call, does it sound right? Does it sound right is a method which I'm trying to sell to you. I want the child, if the child is reading the words, I encourage the child, there are two. If you are reading the word this and you say this, we ask you, does it sound right? If it doesn't sound right, try the other way. Remember, these two sounds can be found at the same place. They can be found at the end, they can be found at the beginning. So the children can best do that. Number one, use what we call does it sound right as a method. The child reads and asks himself if the word is thank or thank, if the word is three or three, if the word is theme or theme. So we use the does it sound right as an activity. Another activity you can do is for children to do sorting of these words. Just like what Madam Shueta said earlier on for sound E of EA and E of EE. The more children play these games is the more they get to understand. And still, I would like to get back to having a decorated classroom where these words are displayed. Let the children know these ones are for the voiced TH, these are for the unvoiced. And through the constant use and seeing these words every day, I want to tell you, time will come when your children are good to go with this. Give them practice, give them lots of activities, and then help them to appreciate how the word sounds using what I call, does it sound right? And that is what I can give you for now. Madam, I'm back to you.
Yes, sir. So could you please help them how to pronounce the two sounds of TH?
Madam, did you ask the question?
Yeah, how can you please help the teachers how to teach the correct pronunciation of this digraph TH? You're on mute, sir.
Thank you so much, please.
Yeah.
When you look at the and the difference is on the tongue. When you look at the tongue does not stick out so much. When you look at the tongue sticks out.
Wait a minute. I would like everyone to please turn on your camera and practice with sir, because Indian teachers do have difficulty in giving the right pronunciation of this particular digraph, because we have our native touch, the mother language touch. So I would like everyone to please turn on your video and practice with sir.
Thank you so much. So what I was saying is, let's all say, can we go?
Yes, everyone.
The tongue, bite your tongue and you say, then we have the tongue. When you are saying, the tongue does not stick, sorry, the tongue sticks out a little more. When you are saying, it doesn't come out a lot. So one is the other one is. So the tongue does not stick out for like in this, them, they. The tongue doesn't come out so much. But when you are saying three, thing, thank, your tongue has to stick out. Then Madam Shueta, I would encourage that they look at the pictures according to Jolly Phonics.
Yes.
The pictures which they show for this action is when they show the clowns.
Yes.
This clown is one, the tongue sticks out a lot, and for the other, the tongue does not come out so much. That can be the way.
One is rude clown, one is rude clown, and another one is even more rude. So one throws out the tongues, and the other one even throws harder. So that needs practice. Coming to the next question from Padmavati, could you please explain the spelling rule of double letters like egg, doll, miss, add? It is there in the chat box.
I would request you to enable me share my screen. Okay. That is on the yes. Gadget labeled Lack Phonics Academy.
Yeah, you can share.
I hope my screen is now visible.
Yes.
Someone is asking about the word egg. The word asked about the word add. The word miss, doll. I want to first go to these two, miss, doll. Then we have words like staff and words like buzz. I'm sure in the works of Madame Shueta, you must have found what we call the Floss Rule, which Floss Rule tells us that at the end of a short vowel word, when you find a short vowel word and it is a one-syllable word and it ends in a sound l, sound s, and sound z, what do? The rule tells us to double. I'm trying to explain the Floss Rule. So the rule which we are having on the screen, if I can quickly put it, tells us that if a short vowel word ends in l, z, or s, what do? Double those letters at the end. This rule works for single syllable words. So if you look at a word like miss, you cannot write it as M-I-S. Why? It's because it has sound E, which is a short vowel sound. And since this word is having only one syllable, we have to double the letter at the end, which is letter S, which is making sounds. That's why you look at words like grass, boss, miss, floss, and all the others. The same rule is used for words like doll. When you have the word doll, because it is ending in letter L or sound L, and this word is having a short O sound, and this word is having only one syllable, we have to double the letter at the end. So here you are going to read more about the Floss Rule. I might even not have stated it so well, but I want to say it clearly tells us that at the end of a short vowel word, and this word is having a single syllable, we have to double the letters which end. And this rule works for letters F, S, L, and Z. That's why it is called the Floss Rule. In some books, they call it the Fizzle Rule. Then when you look at the word add and the word egg, why are these words doubling the letters? The answer is here on this letter. This is where the answer is. When you look at this letter A, it is making a short sound. After a short sound, our rule tells us to double. After a short sound, you must double. This is the same rule which we apply in the rabbit rule somewhere. But for now, this is a one syllable word. But because we are having short sound here, which is sound A, we have to double the next one. We are having short A, we have to double the next one. If the first sound was a long one, we would not double. Therefore, in English, we double after a short sound and we don't double after a long sound. That is why it is working for these words. I want to find out whether the person who asked this question has understood my explanation.
Yes, I hope so, because it's pretty clear here. Someone is asking, what about the word glass and class?
We cannot mention all the examples, but there are so many words which agree to these rules. For example, if we went by what she is asking, we have the word glass, the word grass, class, words like kiss, words like moss, words like fuss. All these words you are seeing, they are having a short vowel before sound or before letter S. Therefore, we must double letter S when we are doing this. Number two, it is the same thing which applies to the other words. For example, those of L, where we have the word like call, kill, tell, tall, all those ones, they are agreeing to the same rule. But just as I said, we cannot give all the examples. Like we now have the word like calf, staff, and another staff, words like stiff, all those words are simply agreeing to the floss rule. We double those sounds when they come at the end of a single syllable short vowel word.
Yes,
If
but
a
the
word
question,
has a single syllable and a word has a short vowel, we double that. Thank you.
yes, but in the word grass and glass, it's not the short vowel sound of letter A.
Madam, I didn't hear you there.
In the word glass and grass, it's R sound coming and not A, the short vowel sound.
I seem not to have got you there. I request you to explain that to the group.
Sorry?
I'm saying that I have not got what you have said. I request you to explain so that we can all get it.
Yeah, the question which has come is, in the word glass, why A is not giving the short vowel sound and still it is double S. In the word grass, it's not the short vowel sound like in add. The short vowel sound of letter A is not coming in the word glass and in the word grass, in the word class.
Which sound comes in there, Madam Shweta?
The question is like in apple, ant. You got it? The short vowel
I
sound.
get it, but personally, I know that it is a short sound. However, I can learn from you and the team as I also cross-check with my dictionary.
Okay, so this is the question which one of the participant has put up, and what I have found it earlier is that because we have the vowel sound here with letter A, so we can relate the same rule here. And there is also the difference in pronunciation of these words when it comes to British accent and American accent. So this is the one clarification we give, that the same word is pronounced differently in British accent and American accent. So I hope that is clear. And coming to the next question, Sudha from, she's watching us live on Facebook and she's asking, how can they differentiate between, can we teach 6 years old kids to alternatives? Can we teach alternatives to 6-year-old kid? This is the question from Sudha Agarwal, who's watching us live on Facebook.
Thank you so much. That when can we teach the alternatives? I don't know the country the person who is asking is from,
Yeah,
but the children teaching of alternatives is very important. However, the issue of age is not key,
yes,
because age goes with the class. By 6 years old, the child must have been in school for around 3 years. That is according to my country. In my country, Uganda, children join school when they are 3 years. So 3, then someone 4, 5, by 6, someone is beginning primary in my country, Uganda. So it means that at 6 years, the child was already taught alternatives. They began at around 5 years. And these alternatives can continue up to around 9 or 10 years because there are so many different spellings.
yes.
Therefore, what matters, have you taught the children or the child the mother sounds? When I say mother sounds, I'm meaning the 42 major sounds.
Yes.
Number 2, have you taught your children vowels? Do they know the short and the long vowels? Number 3, have your children practiced the words using the consonant blends? So if your children have gone through that, even if they are 6 years old, please start off and teach them other spellings, which we are calling the alternative spellings. And these are many. You cannot teach them to only 6-year-olds. For me, in my curriculum, I tried to split them and put them at different ages. Some 7, some are taught at 8. When you look at sound A, it has around 60 spellings, but some spellings are taught at 5 years, some are taught at 6, some can be taught at 7, according to how your country's curriculum is. So for me, I can say, yes, it is okay. Go ahead and teach the 6-year-old child alternatives as long as you taught the child the mother sounds, the child knows how to blend, the child was taught the vowels, the short vowels, and can know the difference between the short and the long vowel. Your child has practiced using the consonant blends, because if you don't do this before teaching alternatives, your child is going to be confused. Thank you.
Yes. So age is not the criteria. First, you have to go to the checklist. If you are following Jolly Phonics lesson app, you can take the test where you can check the phonemic awareness of the child, whether he knows all 42 sounds or not, whether he can read or not, and then only you can go to alternatives. But yes, if the child is just 4, definitely it is difficult for him to understand the rules, and so we don't teach alternatives at this stage, but we let the child enter in senior KG and then we begin with alternatives. But yes, if the child is already 6, you just have to check that if the child is thorough with all the 42 sounds and he can blend all those words and read, then definitely you can go ahead. And the next question is, bossy R words also become difficult for kids when dictating them. As in British, we are not supposed to say the sound of R. Yes, there's a difference between the British and American accent. So please, how would you look into this question?
Excuse me?
Bossy R words.
I'm simply requesting
There's some network issue, I think.
there is a question which you skipped out, which someone answered earlier on. Sorry, which someone asked, when I ask my kid to spell any word in phonic sounds instead of answer instant what you skipped out, which someone answered earlier on. Madam, should I go ahead and answer that before?
Yeah, sure. Yes, I just missed on one question. How to teach GH, KH, KSH, CH sounds.
Okay. Our question of someone who is asking, when you tell your child to spell, your child instead blends. You tell the child to spell the word cat instead of the child saying A-T, cat. The child tells you A-T. That is the challenge you are having with your child. What would be the problem? You as a teacher, there is something which you haven't done. You haven't taught your child the difference between blending and spelling. That's number one. Number two, you have not taught your child the difference between sounds and letter names. Number three, you might have introduced spelling too early. Sometimes we teach our children, and before they understand the sounds enough, we bring the letter names. That is a great mistake. First, give your child enough chance to practice the sounds as much as possible. And let the child know that when you say blend, the child says the sounds. When you say spell, the child has to say the letter names in the word. If you do that, and with constant practice, your children will know that for every word you can either blend or you can spell when you see the letter names. So give your child enough chance to practice the letter sounds and introduce the letter names so that the children can simply know that for every sound there is a name. For every sound there is a name. And when they say blend, say the sounds. When they say spell, say the names. Thank you. Madam, let's move to the next one.
Yes. And if you're following Jolly Phonics 5 steps, if you remember, first teach the letter sound, then letter formation, then blending, and then segmenting. So in this case, I think the teacher is not following the fourth one, segmenting, where you give the sound and the child has to write. So you have to follow all the 5 steps: letter sound, letter formation, then comes blending, then comes segmenting when you are taking the dictation, and then tricky word. So the next question, we will just hurry up. How to teach GH, KH, KSH, CHH sounds?
I'm seeing there are some sounds which I have never seen.
I would just
Are those sounds part of English?
Yes, this is what I'm saying. Rupal, you need to check that mostly you'll find these coming for Hindi words and not for the English words. Okay, Rupal. And the last question we have for
ma'am.
is bossy R words also become difficult for kids when dictating them. As in British, we are not supposed to say the sound of R. So there's a difference between British accent and American accent for bossy R words. So how to teach them?
When I'm teaching children words of bossy R, number one, I want to explain to the children who a boss is. A boss is someone who tells you something and you don't ask why I should do it. You simply go ahead and do it. Unlike a leader, for a leader, you will ask, why should I do it? How should I do it? But when your boss says a boss, the word boss means to force. So if we have sound A, which is letter E, which is sound A, when we put a boss who is R, it stops saying A, it will begin to say R. So when I'm teaching my children, there are two things. When I'm emphasizing the spelling, I will say it is sound R. I want the children to hear sound R at the end. But like children who are learning English as a second language, if I simply say sister and I stop there, they will not hear the R at the end. So I can only help them hear the R at the end by saying sister. Remember, we have the British English and the American English, but I want to tell you, even us in our own countries, we have our own accent. So English has become a global language that American English and British English may end up not mattering, because if I'm speaking as an Indian, my English will be different from one of the American and one of as an African, my English will be different. Much as you want the children to speak like the whites, which is very okay. But I want to tell you, teach your children, number one, to understand that there is sound at the end. Number two, teach them to understand how do these sounds change. Three, how will you help them? I want to always get back to what I call practice. When the children learn, when the children learn sound R, and they learn another R, I'm talking of R like in the word sister, mother, father, and then there is R in the word bird, in the word skirt, in the word shirt, and then there is R in the word purse, P-U-R-S-E. When I'm teaching, I'll try to stress where the sound R is. But these are things that children can understand very fast. So you help your children to understand that all these sounds have different spellings, but they sound the same. So how do we differentiate them? Display the words for the children, teach the words in terms of meaning, let children use these words in the sentences, and let children know that there are so many other spellings of sound R. I want to tell you, you can find around 7 spellings, much as in Jolly Phonics, you are having like around 3 sounds. But when you go in a complete phonics program, you'll find OUR saying R. You'll find RE saying R. You'll find OR also saying R, especially at the end of 2-syllable words. Therefore, how can you teach them? I want to repeat, practice as many words as possible. 2, teach the children how the sound changes. 3, show the children different words by displaying for them. 4, help the children to know the meaning. Because when children know the meaning, they will know that the meaning for the birds, which are animals, or which there is another word, birds, which does not have that. So because they know the meaning, they will strike the difference in spelling. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And here we come to the end of today's live session, and looking forward for coming work sessions. And thank you so much from the bottom of heart. And it was really knowledgeful. And I hope each and everyone has got the answers for their queries, which was the purpose of this session. So once again, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts, and it is really a pleasure to have you on our platform, where you have been giving us your precious time every time there's any query in the WhatsApp group. And now you have started coming up with these free sessions where they are taking their help, and they are progressing every day. Janvi is here and she's saying thank you so much, Shweta ma'am and sir, for such a wonderful session. So I would just request everyone to please give your feedbacks for the session, and we will be meeting next Sunday, same time. Till then, take care and bye-bye.